Hey, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody had wonderful holidays. I don't think I've made a video since. Got a little sick, spent a little time in bed, but I had a wonderful holiday. Kids were just, they're the miracle of the day, right? It's just bringing so much joy and happiness. So I hope everybody was able to experience that. And I hope that the new year has brought you all in safely, and to those in California fires. My heart literally is with you. A very dear friend that this is the second fire she has been in California. And I know that her heart is very troubled by the devastation. How can it not be? So I just wanted to say all that. Now, the reason that I am here, obviously, is Karen Reed. So I don't want to take a long time. I hope you will bear with me. I have some opinions, and I'm going to see if I can give them in a manner that let's say is interesting um, to you all. I I hope that well, I think that many of you feel the same way that I do, and it just helps me realize that, I'm not crazy, that this really is happening in the United States of America to a citizen that is guaranteed many rights. But unfortunately, the corruption is allowing this young lady to be put on trial with the most laughable, I would say laughable, it's absolutely horrific. A police officer, Officer John O'Keefe, worked in Boston, lost his life, was found on another Boston police officer's front yard out in the freezing snow. Blizzard had hit. So they want to blame John O'Keefe's girlfriend by saying she backed over him or backed into him, pardon me, with her car and took his life. I don't think I've ever heard of such a shoddy investigation in my entire life. But to have a police officer dead on another police officer's front lawn, I would imagine it would be very, very thorough. You would not leave any stone unturned. You would dot every I and cross every T, and then you would go back and check a second time. I think that's in most areas. I think most places that's what you would find. But in Canton, Massachusetts, if a police officer is found dead on Brian Albert's front lawn, nobody says anything. They don't measure where the body was. They make no attempts to mark where they found his body. They make no attempts to mark where they dug the snow, ice concoction that had blood on it into red solo cups that they obtained from, I believe, an acting chief of police at the time. And of course, either these officers didn't have video surveillance like ring cameras or things like that because I mean, Brian Albert supposedly worked with some of the worst criminals there were, but he, as a veteran police officer, and knowing all that he knows about this world, and knowing that there are people that would probably like to bring harm to him from his involvement in their cases, he, however, sleeps with his door unlocked, no surveillance at all for the home. And yeah, we're supposed to believe all that. Um, what else are we supposed to believe? We are also supposed to believe, and I really, really wish that the defense would work on pointing this out. I would think that it would be very just mind boggling to anyone on a jury, but apparently it went over their head. I think anyway. When some of these officers were asked why they didn't interview the people in the house, or why they didn't treat it as a crime scene, why they didn't act like they were police officers on the job, basically. And they don't have an answer. It's, well, you didn't have to, or no, I didn't do that, or no, I don't know. I mean, I've only been a police officer for 30 years. I had no idea that you should separate witnesses at a potential crime scene. I've been a police officer for 30 years, and I don't know how to process a crime scene. Nobody ever taught me how. Not in the snow, not out here in Massachusetts. Dude. I mean, come on, guys. If a granny watching TV can think of a better way to direct and to have an investigation, you guys are the laughing stock. And what an injustice to wrap up the crime scene of a fallen officer in what, less than an hour? So there is a lot more to this story. And I don't understand how a grand jury even indicted Karen Reed. I don't understand how Karen Reed had a hung jury on any count whatsoever. Another thing that I think is important to point out, well, there's a few things. So maybe I'll just change what I'm doing, and maybe I'll just give my opinions. Then I'll do another one where I'm actually up against somebody, so to speak. I know that anyone, male or female, can put themselves in Karen Reed's shoes at any given time to experience an anger that made you say things that you know you didn't mean. You were just mad. You were either striking out trying to hurt somebody, or you were trying to get them to do something you wanted them to do. So let's not forget how the night started, shall we? John O'Keefe and Karen Reed, from the messages that I heard, he made her feel pretty bad about herself. And she was struggling with that. She hadn't given up yet. She was still in the relationship. She had thought going elsewhere. But me personally, I'm afraid she was starting to become willing to settle. I'm not trying to say anything ugly against John O'Keefe. He was definitely a woman's man. You can tell that because he wasn't married, and obviously he had no intention of marrying. I kind of wonder if I don't already know why that may be, but I'll keep that to myself. That's just from watching things. So he wants her to come to Canton. She's in Dighton, and that he knows that a snowstorm is coming. She is waiting on a plumber. He is going drinking with a friend, but he figures he's going to be needing a ride home. So he wants her to drive from Dighton to Canton for that reason, folks. You see? Because he wanted to ride home. Go back, listen to it. Let it refresh your memory. She wasn't the one begging to come to Canton that night. He was a little upset she was having a plumber fix her plumbing issues, 'cause him and Pops could have done it on Monday. So we have that. We have Officer John O'Keefe and Karen Reed drinking and having a good time. We have everybody that could be interviewed has testified. Neither one of them seemed inebriated. Neither one of them seemed drunk, in other words. And neither one of them seemed like one of them couldn't drive. Because after all, they were all out. They were all drinking. And at least one in every group had a set of car keys. So they had just as much, if not more, to drink than Karen Reed. And they were okay to drive, right? So they leave. It's late. Karen's not feeling well, and she tells Sean that she wants to go home. And home probably meant his house for the night. Although she had her own home, I'm sure she was planning on just hanging out for the snowstorm, hanging out with him and the kids. So she goes, and she and he leave. And Jen McCabe had invited everyone to her sister's house for an after party. So apparently, John wanted to go to the after party. He called Jennifer McCabe to even get the directions. And Jennifer McCabe will like to say that she said one of his ex girlfriend's names where their house was. And so she knew that would probably have made Karen Reed mad, jealous, whatever. So we have that. But let's just say so Karen Reed takes him to Brian Albert's house. Brian and Nicole Albert, who are sister-in-law, no, sister and brother-in-law to Jennifer McCabe. He gets out of the car. Karen is distracted with her phone or thoughts or whatever. She's not paying attention. She didn't keep her eyes just glued on him to make sure he walked through the threshold, but she did see him go up to the door. There was another vehicle that pulled up at some point, and Karen Reed was in front of this vehicle, which meant she had pulled up some, and they did not see anyone except Karen Reed in the car. They even drove by her. They did not see anyone but Karen Reed in the car, and she had her interior lights on. She then goes home to One Meadows, which is Officer John O'Keefe's home. She's madder than a wet hen, y'all. She has had it. She's mad. She's not mad because he went to the party. She's mad because he went into the party and he was supposed to let her know that it was good he was going to stay or he was going to want to go home with her then. But he never bothered to tell her. So she is PO'd as PO'd can be, calls his phone 50 something times, tells him about himself, curses him out, calls him every name in the book. She is pretty mad at this dude. She falls asleep. She wakes up a few hours later and he's not home. She now becomes scared. She can't find him. She wakes up the niece to see if she's heard from him because no way would he have just not told his niece, who he's been the guardian for the last, what, 8 years, that he wasn't coming home and where he was, so she wouldn't worry. So Karen Reed had the niece call Jennifer McCabe because she didn't have Jennifer McCabe's number. See, they weren't friends, not like that. And then we have Jennifer McCabe's story from there on. But the point is that Jen told her she would help her look for John. I don't know if it's on the phone. I don't know if it's after she went over there. I don't remember that portion. Um, I remember her saying that she knew what time Karen arrived because it was on her Life 360. And I couldn't figure that out because Karen wasn't in their Life 360. Does Life 360 show you if somebody drives up to your house? I thought Life 360 was just something that you used for you and your family. But anyway, she said according to Life 360, it's somewhere in her testimonies as to what time Karen Reed arrived. Now, Carrie Roberts also joins this search party. She's driving. Jim McCabe's in the passenger seat. Karen Reed's in the back seat. Karen Reed is 100% focused on looking out the windows to see if she can see John. Carrie and Jen, I'm sure, are not quite as concerned about looking out the windows because neither one of them think they're going to find him because they think that he's probably with some other woman. That's what their mind thinks. Well, Carrie's mind, I think. I think Jennifer McCabe had the answer. So when Karen spots John O'Keefe, these other two women want to kind of give a feel like, oh my gosh, we didn't see him. How could she have seen him? Oh, she saw him because she put him there. I'm not sure at what point in time she was supposed to have put him there, nor how she would know exactly where he was, even if she had hit him, unless she got out the car and went and positioned him. She put him there. No, she didn't put him there. She didn't, you know, and we need to listen to Trooper Paul and his explanation again too. You see, all of this is like a circus. It's on a funny farm. While we're all sitting back and we're waiting on the Justice of the Supreme Court of Massachusetts to say whether or not Beverly should talk to or find out if, in fact, the jury from the first trial actually found her not guilty on 2 counts, the 2 big counts, and they were only hung on 1. We're still waiting on that. I personally wouldn't want double jeopardy attached to anything that sent somebody to prison. Why these people are after, I could see I could see wanting something so bad you're willing to try to make it look that way. But most of the time that's in a situation where you know something 100%, you know you can't prove it. Karen Reed, had she hit John O'Keefe, would not have blown up his phone until she fell asleep. Karen Reed, if she hit John O'Keefe, would have never called anybody to help her go find him because he didn't come home. Because if Karen Reed would have hit John O'Keefe, she'd have gone home, should have laid low, and should have played over and over in her mind that when the cops come see me, my answer is what? When the cops come talk to me, my answer is what? And just drill that in her brain over and over. She wouldn't have gone out and got a posse to go out and find him. I mean, I think you people are just living under rocks or something. I think that needs to be pointed out pretty strong because apparently people can't think for themselves. If it's not just put out there. And and has she killed Officer John O'Keefe? She could not have behaved in that manner in that front yard. No way. No, absolutely no way could she have done that. Give me 5 seconds. So there's a lot of things Karen Reed would not have done that she did. Now, I'm watching the trial and I'm trying to figure out what happened. Well, what happened? Well, we know that John O'Keefe was found dead on the lawn of Brian Albert. We know that Brian Albert hosted a after party, according to Jim McCabe inviting people to the after party. We know that after party didn't last but a few minutes, really. I think everybody was gone by 1 a.m. Nobody even got there until a little bit after 12. That's a pretty short after party. But okay, all right. And then we got, I'm going to pull it up so y'all won't think I'm crazy, but we got Nicole Albert, Brian Albert, getting frisky. Now, this is according to Brian Albert, because in his friskiness, he somehow called Brian Higgins. He did a butt dial while he was being frisky with his wife. Can y'all imagine? That's a scary, scary thought. I mean, if you could, oh, please. That is just, okay. But the interesting thing about that story is she was already asleep. See, she went to sleep about 2 a.m. thereabouts. This other stuff's going on at 2:20. Albert's got a lot going on in that house. Somebody, whoa, dude. But yet y'all testified to that business. Also, when the police said they didn't have a reason to search the house, I would think if you found one dead cop on another cop's lawn, you'd have a dang good reason to search that house. You wouldn't know if another cop was deceased. You wouldn't have any idea. If for no other reason whatsoever, you would go into that home to secure and make sure they are safe. You can say all you want to say, dude. And you should all be completely embarrassed that you get up and testify that you think that's how a police officer should handle his business. That is the most disgusting thing I think in all of this. Y'all are even trying to sell it off as, yeah, this is, we didn't know how to handle it. Well, you use some honor and respect and intelligence. That's what you do. I could have done a better job of that. And I'm not trained in anything, but I got common sense, buddy. I'd have made sure to keep a perimeter around that crime scene and wasn't nobody going around it. I'd have made sure somebody went in that house and made sure the people were alive. And I mean, hey, if they're all sound asleep and making whoopee with their phones in the bed that they sleep with every night, along with sometimes their glasses, I'm wondering if he slept with his glasses so that he could find anything he might need during the night. Y'all can use your minds to think whatever you want right there. But that's going to sum up my thoughts and the overall of this. Okay? Those are my thoughts after that long, drawn out trial that we had. I don't think the jury understands if you have a reasonable doubt because the only thing I saw in this trial was nothing but reasonable doubt, absolute shock and horror, so much horror. And I saw a judge making a laughing stock of the judicial system. That's what I saw. Massachusetts, Beverly Cannoni, making a name for herself around the world. She didn't care because there's somebody apparently big and influential and more important than the truth. When you become more important than the truth and you have somebody hanging up to make sure you're safe, you are somebody one day that will be reckoned with. And I hope I get to watch it all crumble. I know that Josh Levy's leaving, but tell me, there's got to be people that stand for the right thing in the FBI that can do something about this mess. None of these people should even be able to have a badge. It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to the world. I mean, I live in the United States of America and I'm embarrassed. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that I didn't know we had such backward country up there where people don't matter. Only the chosen few do. Who chooses the chosen few? Chosen. The ones that have chose themselves. How long has it been going on? How high does it go? How deep does it flow? Makes no sense to me, folks. That's a reflection of the TV in that picture right there. I hope it don't bother anybody. I don't know how to do anything else with my background. So, well, I do, but sometimes it moves around. And I can't get this border thing off now. I don't know how to do that. So, um, yeah, I don't get it. Can't figure it out. So, I don't know what to say. But I'm going to say goodnight. I'm going to try to streamline my thoughts, but I think that this overall is just pretty much my opinion of the entire thing in under 30 minutes. Have a good night, y'all. Bye.